The role architecture and design plays in building healthier communities actually gets to the core of the systems that actually impact the built environment. As we've gone through, and what we hear resonate at this conference is there's this bifurcation of the built environment and architecture, and the product of a building and the process of architecture. And so what we want to be able to start to look at is bringing back the design of systems and the design of and the role of buildings within our built environment and what impact that they could have. So whether that is the complex ecosystem that goes inside a building, the products, the materials, the mechanical systems, and so on, but let's look at the impact beyond that one structure and how is that building part of a walkable neighborhood or a transit-oriented development, or how does that create jobs, or what's the economic return on investment for that building in not only a financial sense but also in a social sense. And that's the role that our buildings and our industry can start to have that conversation, because it requires us to have a significant amount of risk, a very different type of risk, but it also allows us to bring back a power and authority in the field of architecture and design that we might have lost through siloization over the years within our industry. So within my own firm of Latent Design, one of the things that we're working on is how do we make sure that all of our projects have that impact, and how can they have some knowledge transfer of what the value proposition around design. And when I look at that specifically is how are we engaging local community members and organizations as part of our design process, so that it's not only participatory, but it also helps the back-end stewardship of a building or a project. That's one piece, is being transparent and being able to engage our communities around our projects. The other one that we're looking at very seriously and should be finalized by the end of the year is expanding the role of the firm from only an architecture firm to a design build firm. And what we're seeing within that is then having more power from the construction arm to be able to craft what a workforce is, how that transfers more craft knowledge, and then more economic value and skill back within the community that we're building. Half of our projects are very small. I mean, their budgets are, $250,000, $300,000 or less. They're very small, and so we actually find that there's a huge gap in terms of getting quality contractors to do that type of work, because the ones that we like to work out with for our larger projects just can't make the numbers work for them, and the ones who are available at that price point might not have the craft. So how do we either build up a skill set of subs and contractors that are already working in those neighborhoods, or craft a new construction arm that starts to have a specific viewpoint and a specific skill set of working within restricted budget projects, and bring high design and quality craft and a whole entire ecosystem of economy and design through a project. So that's what we're looking at right now. The value of the Design Futures Council is that it does provide a neutral platform to have these conversations between a variety of industry and large firm leaders within the AEC industry, how they could share strategies and come to agreement around issues that are hugely impacting our communities and our cities. The other role that it has is nurturing and stewarding younger talent and bringing them into the fold, either of these organizations, but also I see the possibility of looking at smaller firms, especially like mine, and how they can tie into this narrative and this provide ideas and on a different point of view on how architecture and the built environment is impacting small firms and our clients and our constituents in the end. Because when we look at it, the AEC industry is 90% firms, 10 people or less. But what's here are the 10% of the firms that move a huge amount of projects forward, but that's not who is the main advocate to the public. And so we need to talk about who's advocating for our role in design, what they're seeing, what that point of view is, and how can not only Design Futures Council bring together some of the largest firms, but also create an advocacy platform that all firms and everyone can coalesce around. This is the value proposition for architecture.